Hey, everybody. I think we're expecting a few absences today, so we'll probably give it to like 9:03, 9:04, and then just start with whoever is here, if that sounds good. Hey, just so everyone knows before looks like we might be ready. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 9:04 on July the 7th. And I think what we'll need to do, just because we do have attendance, because we can't see everyone at the same time, we'll do roll call attendance. And that way, as we do the votes, we kind of know who's in and who's out. And then we'll kind of open it up for everybody pretty early in the agenda. So Leah, are you ready to do the attendance?
I don't think she heard you.
Okay. I'll message her.
Leah, can you hear? Yeah, I don't know if she can hear us.
Greg, I have the minutes. If you want to go through attendance, I can mark through
Okay, thanks.
while Leah figures out her audio.
Oh, Leah just asked to hold.
That's my dad in the background making a.
Hi. Okay, well, let's go ahead and run through attendance and I'll just update Leah and so she can make the minutes accurate before we leave. So Zaina.
I'm here. Good morning.
Hi. Tony. I don't think Tony is here. Gigi.
Here. Good morning.
Hi. Kathy.
Good morning, here.
Hi. Kara is here.
Good morning.
Angela.
Good morning.
Hi. Ben.
Morning, everybody.
Hi. Lisa.
Present. Good morning, everyone.
Ramon. Well, Mark Ramon
Hey.
absent for
I'm
now.
in. Sorry.
Okay. I'll just finish up attendance and I'll let you know who's gone.
Okay.
Ruth. Mandy.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm present. Marcus.
Morning.
Hi. And Jeff.
Morning.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So Leah, I'll just text you or message you on the group chat with the people who are absent.
Okay.
So at 9 o'clock, we have public comment. Is there any public comment?
There's no public comment.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And then review and approval of June minutes. I think Leah just gave us the link to the Google Drive that had the minutes in there.
Theoretically, I am actually not sure if they're in here. Hold on, but I will put them in there real quick.
Okay. So does anyone have any questions about the minutes if you had a chance to review them before the meeting?
I don't think they had a chance to review them before the meeting.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. I'm going to both put them in there and I will put them up on the screen is probably the easiest way to do it. Kelly, it says disabled participant screen sharing.
So Eva, welcome to the meeting. This went way better the last 2 weeks when Mandy was running the show. So you gotta live with technology, I suppose.
There we go.
But to be blunt, it went way better than all of the Microsoft Teams we tried.
Oh,
See, I'm familiar with that tool, so I feel like this one is a challenge for me. Okay, I think we are now looking at, yes, we are looking at June's minutes. Can you all see that?
yes.
Okay, so we have opening acknowledgement, no public comment, review and approval of May minutes. That's all pretty standard. Here is the content from the first meeting. I'll leave that there for a minute. At June minutes. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay. So we have opening acknowledgement, no public. Okay, I'm going to go down to notes from the second conversation.
So Leah, are those also in the Google Drive now?
They should be, yes.
Okay. So was that all of them?
More or less, yes. There's the last section I just scrolled down to.
So when anyone thinks you've had enough time, feel free to motion to approve, and then we can always go back and review them more carefully, and then make edits as needed at our August meeting too.
Motion to approve the minutes from the June meeting.
I can second.
So motioned by Zainab, seconded by Jeff.
Can
Anyone
I-
opposed? Actually, I guess we better vote individually. So Leah, do you want to take us through?
Yep, as soon as I am done toggling all the documents. Happy to do that.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, Kelly's already been in there. Look at that. All right. So this is Zainab,
Yay.
Eva.
Yay.
And Eva, it is Eva, correct? Is that the
Yes.
correct pronunciation?
Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
correct.
Okay. Gigi.
Yay.
And Greg, you said you would tell me who is not here later, but I kind of need to know that for a roll call. So I believe that
Yeah.
Tony and Ruth are not here. Is that correct?
And Ramon, yeah, I couldn't message you. It said that you were not in the meeting, so I sent you a message on text.
Okay,
But
perfect.
yeah, Ruth, Tony, and Ramon.
I made it.
Okay.
Tony's here.
Oh, hi,
Sorry,
Tony.
hey Tony.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, so Tony, do you know what we're voting on? I don't know when you popped in.
Yeah, minutes.
Okay. And your vote?
Yay.
Gigi.
Yay. I thought I just voted though.
My apologies if I missed it.
Okay. Yay.
Kathy?
Yay.
Okay, Kathy?
Sorry, yay.
Kara?
Yes.
Angela? Angie?
Yes.
Every time it gets me because it's right there and it says Angela. Ben,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yay.
Vermont is absent, Ruth is absent, Mandy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Marcus,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot, Leah.
Mhm.
Man, it's like it's July the 7th in the Zoom room today.
Hey, Greg,
Yeah,
could I just bring up one thing with the minutes?
yeah, sure, please.
So I had talked to Greg earlier this month, or in June anyway. One thing that I didn't know I don't know how we would handle it, but for support staff, I've been doing quite a bit of discussions with other support staff groups and some other district people that I know. And what would you guys think about, and we mentioned it a little bit in the last meeting, but expanding professional development for paraprofessionals, and especially in areas of technology where with us moving more to online, at least in the recent, in the next little bit of time anyway, and helping teachers offset some of that workload. I've talked to many different districts, and it's surprising how many parapros aren't included in professional development or are offered very little professional development during the year. Is that something that we might want to talk about and make a recommendation on, or am I completely off base here? Crickets? All right.
Well, so I think, so Jeff called me and I think what we had discussed was basically just editing the document we already sent to make it more clear that it includes paraprofessionals. Is that what we discussed, Jeff? Sorry, it was,
Yeah, just
a week ago.
yeah, I mean, that's what we talked about, and specifically we talked about expanding their professional development in areas such as technology and but I mean, I believe in every way they should be included in professional development. I'm very fortunate that in our district, the paras are included in every professional development throughout the year, and we have 2 or 3 Saturdays during the school year that we have professional development specifically for paraprofessionals.
So any thoughts from anyone on either what that would look like or how we could amend the recommendations we already sent?
I mean, could it be done simply with the edit to make the language broader? I know when we were actually discussing it, we said things like educational staff as opposed to just teachers, because we had the discussion about how professional development goes for an enormous amount of our staff. I think also one of the concerns Jeff has brought up before, which is real, is trying to make sure we're retaining paraprofessionals, which connects with our earlier work about those alternative paths to teaching. And if we don't give them the opportunities to have professional development, that was part of the path to potentially become a teacher alternatively. Jeff, am I speaking out of turn on that one?
No, that's it. Yeah.
So I guess, Jeff, what's the request? So what's the action we should take?
I guess just to, I mean, I guess I don't know how to exactly word it, but to expand the role of the paraprofessional through professional development within their given school district might be a way that we could look at that. It's just, I mean, it just surprises me sometimes when I meet paraprofessionals from different parts of the state and they're offered no professional development. And
In terms of this conversation, I'd like to make a friendly recommendation. This doesn't actually pertain to the minutes that we were in the middle of approving. So probably the motion would be to add this back onto the agenda as a discussion item. if you wanted to have the discussion of the board around amending the documents that were submitted and then closing out the review and approval of the minutes. Sorry to interrupt, Jeff, but technicalities of an open meeting.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, and I can write something up and put it in the Google Drive over the month and people can review it if that's the way that we want to go, or.
Yeah, let's take a look. Let's take a look in August.
Okay.
And then it looks like Ruth has joined us.
Hey, I'm here. Sorry, I'm late.
Hi. Okay, so we are actually on to sort of the exciting, did we get that vote done, Leah?
Well, no, first you would need to tell us that the motion carried, but do you want Ruth to vote now that she is present, or are we moving on without her vote?
I think we can move on.
Okay.
It's just the minutes, Ruth.
Okay.
Okay, so now the sort of fun part of the meeting. We did have 2 reappointments, so welcome back, Angela and Mandy.
So
Glad
sorry,
I
to be clear, Greg, motion carried. Yep.
Thanks. So we have Angela and Mandy, their appointments renewed, and then Eva Coleman is joining us for the first time. So Eva, anything you would like to share with us as we get started here?
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here. I plan to learn quite a bit. There was a familiar name on your minutes from your last meeting, Dr. Darren Stockdale. Darren and I worked together at Cesar Chavez Academy for a while before he departed and went on to U of M. Unfortunately, I have not had a chance to attend any of his professional developments, even though I've been invited. It just didn't work out that way last year. So I'm happy to be here. I also notice on the agenda for today, you have social justice on there, if I'm correct. And I have taught social issues at Cesar Chavez High School for the last 3 years. And when we went virtual among all of my classes, along with African American literature and English 10, that was the class that got the most responses, the most assignments completed, because it really hit a nerve with the children in that area. So I'm glad to be teaching it once again. It's back on the curriculum again. So I'm just happy to be here, and I plan to learn a lot. And thank you for all the emails that you have given me leading up to this meeting.
Thanks. Anyone else? Any welcoming comments for Eva as we get started? Things that I would have probably missed?
I just want to say welcome. We're only going to have a couple meetings together because I'm Kara. I'll be done after August. But the new Michigan Teacher of the Year will join you as soon as that person is announced. But I wanted to tell you, Eva, we put together some resources for anti-racism and social justice in the Google Drive. So as an educator who teaches this, I would love it if you would take a look and give some feedback on that, because we were just going off of different people that had given us ideas, and Marcus weighed in, and so we had like different people, but I would just love to have your input in that. So if you have time to look at that, and I think we're going to look at it today, but I can only stay till about 10 or 10:30 today. But so just if you have time to look, I would love that. And welcome.
I will do that. Thank you.
Eva, I wanted, oh, sorry, go ahead.
One additional welcome, Eva, from Battle Creek, and we are very fortunate to have you join the council. Welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Welcome, Eva, during the most exciting years in education for the past 100 years. So eat your breakfast and save your energy, because we got a long road to go.
We certainly do. Thank you, Marcus.
Eva, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Leah Breen. You won't find a lot about me in the other information, so it's probably prudent that I introduce myself right now. I serve as the department's liaison for this team between the governor's office and the Department of Education. And I'll be sending you some information, including links to our website that have the bios for all of the members here and other information. And oh my gosh, this is my cat. I'm so sorry. And But welcome, and you'll get an email from me shortly with more information.
Thanks, Leah.
Welcome from the UP. I'm so happy to, be able to work with you, Eva.
All right. Thank you, Ruth.
Okay, so and Eva, Randy Johnson is our liaison, our usual liaison from the governor's office. She's been really working hard on that return to learning council, and I think she's actually furloughed on Tuesdays. So we haven't seen her in a month or so. But she and Leah kind of work closely together to make sure that that the work we do goes somewhere, and kind of we have guidance from the governor's office and the state of Michigan, so that what we're doing makes sense for the role we serve. So you'll see Brandy and then a couple other people from the governor's office as well occasionally join our meeting. So any questions now that you're here?
None at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, so anyone else before we move on to the social justice resolution? Okay, Marcus, so if you wanted to reintroduce that social justice resolution on the agenda, it has discussion and approval. So if there's any comments we want to make in support or maybe last minute edits, I think we could do that. Marcus, you ready to kind of share that again with us right now? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I made the aforementioned corrections. I think we want to include the youth of Native Americans, and also to put like the reference footnotes to it, the proclamation. And I guess just bear in mind that one of the goals for this resolution was it's like to serve as a lens of how we view issues and educational issues as part of being in the governor's council. I don't know if you were able to like preview it on the Google Drives, because I put the updated version on there. And I'm not sure if I can like share it from here, but was everyone able to see?
I think I can put it up. Yep, hold on one sec. Let me just get there.
Okay.
I was making sure that Eva had permissions to get in here. All right, that. And Marcus, you said you put a new one in here?
Well, it was just like, yeah, it was like I edited the old one. I think it's the same title, the governor, the proclamation for social justice. It just has footnotes on it.
And you put it in the June and July folder?
Yeah, it should be in there. I can't see
only see the one that was last modified by Mandy, which is probably not the right one.
Okay, let me see.
If it's easier, you can email it to me and I can drop it in there.
Okay. Okay, I'll do that, but the gist of it was the same. The points were the same, and the motion was just to take a vote on accepting this. And that was just the question before the council. So I'm not able to like show everybody from the drive.
Marcus, I think you just edited the same document. Is that what I'm understanding? And the edits that you made were in yellow?
Yeah, but yeah, it should be with like footnotes.
Ruth, are you saying that you see it in there?
No, I know what she sees. She sees the original one, and Ruth, that highlighted stuff at the bottom is just what we wanted to make sure got added.
Yeah.
That's not what Marcus is talking about. I think his document is separate, and he's probably gonna have to send it to Leah. Yeah.
Okay, well, not notwithstanding, so the motion is just for the acceptance of the proclamation for social justice.
Yeah, did you send that? Does Leah have that yet? Did you send it?
I thought I did. I'm trying to like re-find it and resubmit it to her.
Yeah, I don't have it yet. So why don't Marcus and I work on that? Do you want to skip forward, Greg, in the agenda to the resources review while we get this ironed out and in the folder for everybody to see?
Yeah, let's, can somebody move to just table that for later in the meeting?
I'll move to table that.
I'll second.
Oh, I missed that.
Lisa second.
Lisa second, thank you.
Anyone opposed? If you are, wave to the screen. We're gonna kind of slack on Robert's rules. Okay, tabled. So the review resource documentation for social justice education. So Kara, do you want to take us through this part?
Sure. So
Thanks.
I, with my local union, started putting together some resources, and I shared it, or I put it in our folder, but then Gigi did this beautiful, amazing work to make it look so professional and perfect. And I don't know if you all have had a chance to look at it. So there's actually 2 in there right now. I just changed the name of one of them to draft so that you will know the difference, because you want the other one that Gigi worked on, and it is pretty great. Let me see if I can share my screen and show you, or no, I can't. And
so
I know
Gigi's is the one marked draft, correct? The one that you want me to show?
No, the other one. There's another one that's not marked draft.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we were trying to do is, because of this statement that Marcus wrote for us and that we're working on, we wanted to follow that up with actual resources, not just saying, oh, this is what we believe, but also saying, and here's how you can do some of this work. Here's how you can reflect and educate yourself and hopefully act, right? Is that the right? No, not that one, the other one. Because that's the draft. That's how it looked originally, where it was just like in groups.
Okay, so for everyone who's trying to find it on the shared drive, it is the one marked draft.
No,
I think they're both marked draft. One just has draft at the beginning, one has it at the end.
Okay.
So it's one with draft at the end.
Okay. Okay, that's okay. That's why. Sorry. I didn't know there it said draft at the end of that one. I apologize. Okay.
No
So
problem.
this
There
is
we
the
go.
one that Gigi made, and look how beautiful this is. And she put links so that you can skip through the document to wherever you want to go. And originally it came from my union, and well, in my own reading and other people's readings, and people were sending me things. And then I think Marcus might have added a couple of things in here as well. So it's just broken up into different kind of subjects. If people are just starting, if people have already been doing the work and they want something to read with, or with their students, or if they want something to read on their own, maybe with friends. And then we tried to find some podcasts. Almost all of the stuff on here come from people of color doing this work, educators of color, Black educators, people to follow that if you want to look at social media. And then Gigi also, look at that, if you look at that little fourth line there, fourth little paragraph down, she created a Google form link. So if somebody reading this wanted to make a suggestion, they could make a suggestion and then we could review and add to it. So it would be like a living document, which I had not thought of, and Gigi is pretty great. So I cannot sing her praises enough. Media specialists are the best. So if you want to go into the Google Drive and look through it a little bit, I'm not sure what our next step is, if we need to vote on sending this somewhere or vote on sharing it with people. And you can see how I put little descriptors next to all of the links just so people would know what they are. I thought that would be more helpful than just, putting a bunch of random links. And then also we probably need to talk about, because I'm only on the council until August, somebody needs to kind of take on, curating this and keeping an eye on it and like getting rid of stuff that maybe doesn't link anymore, or those kinds of things. So yes, questions, or what do you want to know?
I just want to clarify that nothing has been freely published out on the World Wide Web. This has remained in-house, except under lesson resources. I added to what Kara already had, this first one, Ending Racism, Teaching Difficult Topics in 2020. Now, the background of that is that I'm involved with the Library of Congress Teaching with Primary Sources network. And this was a curated list of resources, actually shared the beginning of June. And I also put that out on the American Library Association discussion forum and received a lot of conversation, suggestion for additional resources. So it was out on ALA, it was within the Library of Congress teacher network. And again, it made it available for other people to contribute to. And with that possibility of the Google form, that certainly has to go through the right protocol of being an official MDE document, but I would be more than glad when we get this final version ready to be in charge of quote curation and updating and receiving suggestions of resources from other people. And that should be about it. All the images that are currently included are copyright compliant.
Thank you, Gigi.
Lovely.
I just want to commend everybody involved in putting this together. Your thoughtfulness, your diligence, it's amazing. And I think I just want to say this is what being an educator is all about. So I appreciate you all. Thank you.
I just wanted to add something. The resources are great. I'm just, just quick scroll through. A lot of very good resources for teaching, even my social issues class, and I was happy to see mathematics is on there, so various content level areas, science too. So very nice, well done.
Thank you. And if you have more, just feel free to either send them or add them or give them to Gigi, because yeah, math and science especially, I felt strongly that there needed to be something there because people are too easily skip over some subjects saying that, well, that's not my area. I just teach math, but we all know that anti-racism and anti-bias need to be in every subject.
Yes, I will do that.
So from a content standpoint, where do you all want this document to go next? We can definitely house it on your webpage that you have at the department. We can, the formatting is already lovely, but we could format it, add your logos, break it into standalone documents. I'd love to be able to share it out through our social media and credit the council for the work. Did you have other things in mind? Did it need to go to the governor's office?
Is it possible for it to be recommended to the Return to Learn Council? Because as we return, this is going to be an important part of work for us going into next year. Just a thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that could be done. That's technically the governor's team, Greg. So we would need to send it to the governor's office, but we could also send it to the state superintendent.
I have a question, sorry. Maybe instead of Return to Learn, it could go through the MDE, just because I think this is more permanent. Since it's a living document, I would hope this would be more permanent than the current situation. I mean, I see this evolving over the years. So I don't know what the process would be for that.
That's easy. That can definitely be done. So I can get it on the website through our social media, but ideally we could get an e-blast where it was sent directly to all superintendents in the state as a resource. And I think that's likely possible. I could update you on that next month after I took it back, if that's what you all wanted to do, and tell you the plans for communication.
I am going to add a personal comment here, following up on what I shared at our last June meeting. My position is still in flux in that the library programs for the Lakeview District, where I have served for 47 years, have now been completely eliminated. There's a little bit of rumblings about maybe part-time or this, that, or the other thing. I have had reassurance from Brandy that my position on the council will not be impacted by this job reassignment. And even if it comes down to my no longer being employed by Lakeview District due not to professional performance, but due to this budget cut, I would still be able to serve out my term on the council. It would be a nice talking point to be able to say that this resource document has been approved by the council, and I am more than willing to be in charge of this curation piece, however you want to have that worked out.
Can I add to, I'm glad, Gigi, that you're taking that on because you're so good at this stuff. I heard Leah say to send it to superintendents, but I'd like to ask that it be sent to teachers because sometimes superintendents get a lot of emails and they don't forward them. And then they don't get to the classroom. And this document is for teachers and people that work directly with kids. And so I'd like to see it sent to teachers if we could.
I agree, but ouch.
Well, I have ways.
Mandy.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, but I mean, you guys get a lot of emails. It's okay.
Totally different.
Postage stamp cost on an email, it certainly could be sent to both separately or together.
I think too, as individuals of this council, we need to use our social media and promote it within our environment as well, and make sure that our superintendents see that and that kind of thing too, and share it. I know there's a lot of union members here. Well, you can send it out to your membership. So I would encourage that as well. So I know that's what I will be doing.
I'll send you all the links to our office's social media and our newsletter so you can subscribe. So if you aren't linked to those already, when we post them that way, you can push them out.
So are we saying that we would like the governor's office to see these still though? And then, but we'd like MDE maybe to send them, but we also want the governor's office to be aware of this work, and then I guess they do with it what they will. I mean, what do we think about that?
So Greg, my thought would be they should have the opportunity to review it before it's pushed out under the council's name. Would you agree?
Yeah, and anything that we do, I always, usually, Brandy's here, I always make sure she is aware of any of the work we're doing. So yeah, once we approve that, I can definitely send it off to Brandy. I think what Leah's comment is probably, we should take that to heart. I can't imagine Brandy would say, don't send it, but it's probably nice for her to have a heads up before she sees it published somewhere with the governor's, endorsement or stamp on it. So, yeah, so I guess the question would be then, do we want to officially push it out in August and let Brandy have a chance, or we would just kind of want to give a blanket approval now to publish it as possible, knowing that it'll run through the governor's office first? We can do it either way. It's a little bit out of order because it's not an action item on the agenda, but it's on the agenda and we're kind of connecting it to the social justice resolution. So I think we could do that. I'm just worried if we wait until August, so much other stuff will be going on that it maybe gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. So any thoughts on that?
Personally, I'd like to get it out as soon as possible. So whatever, and obviously anybody else speak up, but whatever makes that happen, I'm in favor of. Because yeah, once August hits, I have a feeling there's going to be a massive download of stuff. right?
So Kara, you could, if I can help you with words, make a motion to approve the social justice resources as ready for publication
Yes, I move to
or
what?
something to that effect.
So yeah, I move to approve the social justice resources as ready for publication.
Second.
I heard Marcus.
Do we need to include mention of that Google form as a mechanism to reach out to educators across the state?
I think it's just part of the resources. So does it need to be separate? I don't think it needs to be separate. Does it?
So we could amend the motion to approve the social justice resources as ready for publication and communication to educators.
Right. Yes. And communication to, okay. Yes. And communication to educators.
I second.
Okay, so we probably should do a roll call vote.
Any discussion
Oh,
before
sorry,
vote?
thanks. Thank you.
Welcome.
I think just as a note that by getting it out now, it shows a greater importance, because I think just like what Kara said, if it goes out later, it's going to get, I don't think the spotlight will hit it as strongly as it will now. And it might get lost, or its significance might get lost in the myriad of emails and how things are going to be changing in districts and all of that. So I think this is a great thing to do to really get this out there. So I also want to add that this might be the most significant thing I've been a part of, and I'm overwhelmed. And the work that Gigi, you're an amazing person, man. I don't care if this is out live for people, but I'm so glad I know you and all of you guys. I never thought in my life that I would be part of something like this. So it gets a little bit emotional for me. So I'm very happy. This is amazing.
So we do have a motion on the table. Unless there's any other comment, we can go to voting. Okay, so now Leah, I think you can take us through.
Got it. Zainab,
Yes.
Eva,
Yes.
Kara,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Gigi,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
noting that Ramon is absent. Ruth,
Yes.
Mandy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Marcus,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries unanimously.
And so Kara, we'll have to figure out how to keep it active and alive and all that.
Gigi
before-
said she would
Okay.
help with that too.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And even if I'm not on the council, if you guys ever need my help with anything, you could always just reach out. I would always help with anything I could that I'm allowed to.
Okay, well, thanks. Nice work, everyone. And then, so are we ready to go back to the social justice resolution that kind of accompanies that document?
We are, so it should be in your shared drive now. Is there, could you just raise your hand if you cannot access the shared drive, so I know if I need to put these up, if that's helpful? And that is just fine if I need to put it up on the screen. Okay, look.
You muted yourself.
Oh, you can send me a private message if you need me to put it up too. I'm happy to do that.
So is everyone finding and reviewing? Marcus, do you want to kind of walk us through as people open it up, just to highlight anything before we take the vote?
Yes. Okay, now based on the recommendations that I received from individuals, and I really appreciate it, this document was to be all encompassing. So we are looking at students of color, and we included Native Americans as part of our the data, and how this the whole deal of racism is affecting Native American students also in the state of Michigan. And so I included the graduation rates and the rates of poverty. I was looking at poverty, graduation rates, and the overall health for the students of color in the state of Michigan. And, it leaves much to be desired. And I also supported that with the factual, the data from the National Center of Children in Poverty. And it was like conducted like, I think it's 2019. And just to jump to the resolved, we want, as a council, we pledge to be anti-racist. We realize, was everyone able to find updated version with the footnotes? Okay. I included it, and I think I emailed it to Greg. I emailed it to you, Greg, too, like a few minutes ago. So we pledge to promote educational policies and practices that will put an end to systemic racism. We will fight for more diversity in all aspects of the educational profession, and we pledge to end the criminalization of Black and brown and Native American youth by the public school system. It is our goal to create a diverse and equitable public school system for all youth in Michigan. And if anyone had any other things that they see, or any corrections that they wanted to be made to this document, just let me know.
I think I'm seeing the most recent one.
Right, me neither, can't find it.
Yeah, maybe somebody needs to share a screen, because what I'm looking at doesn't have anything about Native American students, and it, I don't know, like we had said we might use Latinx instead of Latino. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not this version. It was a different version of it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so this is not the right one.
No.
That's what's in our GAC folder.
So it is there. I'm definitely seeing
Okay.
it. I was like doing some just like minor corrections actually while we were talking, while
Okay.
going through it. So it's in the folder. It's in the
All right,
share.
I'm gonna go look again.
The one I put up here is the one that was just sent. So yeah,
because the title should be the governor's Advisory Council Proclamation for Social Justice.
Zainab, do you?
I did not see it in the folder. I kept refreshing, so.
So I'm sorry, who was the person that said they saw it? No one.
I saw it.
Okay. So here's what you have to
I'm in it.
go. Yeah, you have to search, and if you type in the word proclamation, you can find the one that Marcus added. It'll have like his name instead of your name. That one.
Got it.
Yep. There you go.
Okay.
So it's in the open GAC folder. It's not in the June, July.
Got it. Let me move it real quick. All right, there we go. Should be owner Marcus Walton. I'll open it here and share it, but just in case you want to open it yourself, here we go. Now we're in business.
Marcus, do you want to capitalize Black children? I've been seeing that different dictionaries and the AP are now capitalizing that.
Okay. I think someone said about Latinx instead of Latino children. I think that was the third whereas.
Thank you, Kara.
And I think it's also mentioned again in the fact, well, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the seventh, whereas 64% of Latinx students graduated from high school.
And so if there's any other friendly amendments to the resolution, feel free to let Marcus know. It looks like we're doing some, some minor edits here. So I think that's why we have this on the agenda one last time so that we can make any last edits that you didn't have a chance to share with Marcus.
I have a question. I know this isn't exactly the rationale for why we put together those, well, why we are putting out those, we didn't all put them together, why we're putting out the social justice resources, but perhaps we could package them together, because this seems like kind of the reason this is an imperative, like the putting out the resources an imperative is because of what we're reading here. I don't know, just a thought, although it may not, I don't know, may not pan out, may not make sense, but it kind of like, to me, it makes sense. I don't know, discussion.
Yeah, I was assuming that they would be paired together. I think that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, I think originally we had the statement, but we didn't have the resources yet. So we were thinking the statement might come out first, but now it seems like they're kind of converging. So we might be able to do it at the same time.
And so would that work the same way, Leah, to pair the two things as opposed to just publishing the other document?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can definitely be paired. To me, they're a little bit different in their uses, and so you might want some kind of introduction, but we can work on that explains, that combines the two, identifies that while one isn't likely to be living and updated, the latter part of the document, or maybe they can just sit side by side.
Well, I think it gives a reason, we have the reason and then we have the resources in order to support it. So it's kind of like, instead of just saying, this is what we believe, and then you don't actually have the resources to be able to, do that when you're in school, we actually provide that extra document to support the teachers.
Yeah, and the way I was thinking too, because you're listing the facts. These are the problems, A, B, C, X, Y, and Z. And based on these problems, this is what we need to get done. So we can do the problems here, we can work on the commas and the periods afterwards, but we still got to recognize these are the problems that's hitting us in the face. And these are the reasons why there's like change occurring right now because of this. And it's a change that's continuing. And that's why, to me, it's like keeping them together highlights that more. I'm open to the group.
Would you consider adding the word resources to the phrase, "We pledge to promote educational policies, practices, and resources"? And that would be our delivery of this document yet to be finalized and put in place. And that resources document is a living document that will be updated and maintained. And that shows that we are declaring our pledge to stand behind this most important declaration, but we are also doing something and we are acting.
That's excellent. Yep.
I think Leah's suggestion of some kind of introductory statement makes the most sense. And I don't know, I'm willing to write that if anyone, if you are all okay with that. do some work with this, so.
Ooh, I love when you write introductions and things. Yes, please do.
Thank you.
So I think Marcus is right. I think if you're okay with the general contents of the proclamation, that we can work on a little bit of the editing, combining the two with introduction, and run them through the governor, start communicating the materials, and just noting that if there are any substantial changes that we would need to bring it back to the group, but there shouldn't be substantial changes at this point. That would need to prevent you from a vote, I don't think.
So any more edits? Or are we good to go? So Zainab will write the introduction, and then we'll just kind of be comfortable knowing that we've already approved it.
Yes.
I just went in and edited and put in the word resources, so that happened.
Thank you, Gigi. I was still searching for that.
I just added a comment if you want the pattern to be the same, and that's just an English teacher thing. Like the list of the first three about poverty and then the about graduating from high school, to have them be the same order. Oh, and it's Governor's Educator Advisory Council. So I took off the S a couple places.
Where should I move? I'm sorry.
So,
this one
okay.
moved to below. Oh, here. I see.
Do you see what I'm saying? Okay.
I do.
There. The other thing I wanted to ask about, the last paragraph, which I think is really powerful. Right now, it just kind of feels like a run-on with just commas in between, but those are all really important statements. And I'm wondering if there's a way to just do a little editing to kind of clean that up. Am I making sense? Like, I want all of that to be seen, you know, and be acknowledged. But I don't want any of it taken out, right? Because we like all of that. I just want it grammatically.
Yeah, I like that idea as well. I think that those "we pledge" statements could be all individual. I think that would make it
to add some verbs in there to make it more powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Marcus, what do you think?
That sounds good. Sounds good.
You like that? Okay.
Yep.
Eva, what do you think of all this? You're brand new to all of us. What do you think?
Just reading through it, it looks good. It pretty much covers, you know, the social justice curriculum. It looks really good.
So any more thoughts or comments before we go to voting procedure?
What's on the second page? What is that? Was that just notes, or is that supposed to be someplace?
No, it's the end of the sentence, and that's bothering me as well.
Yeah, I'll fix that. We'll get it fixed for you. Ignore it for now.
I think if we go up to the top where it's the whereas, if we take out if we put students graduate high school and not from high school, I think it shortens one line so you can bring that up.
I have a question. So when we have Black Lives Matter capitalized, is that about the organization, or is that the statement Black Lives Matter? And I only ask because if we endorse an organization, that might be limiting, right? So like maybe other organizations, you know what I mean, are on the ground in communities. So do we capitalize the L and the M, Or I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. Is that the organization or is that just the statement, Black Lives Matter?
Well, to me, it could be both. I don't separate the one from the other, because to me they exist for that purpose. I mean, the name sums it up. So if it encompasses the organization, I'm cool with that.
The English teacher question, sorry.
So I guess I would say that we're probably better off not making it about that organization. I know, like, even in Lansing, Black Lives Matter wants the mayor recalled, and they just want some things that as a council, we're not really equipped to deal with or agree on. So I think just stating clearly that we're not afraid to say Black Lives Matter is more important than whether or not we're affiliated with a specific organization. Does that make any sense?
And I think the organization is hashtag Black Lives Matter, right? So.
That makes sense. Yeah, probably. I'm sorry, I just had to ask because I think the statement's the important part, right? But the organization came up with the statement, so I mean, I get it. So, Leah, do you want to, I mean, do you think this will be taken as some kind of, I mean, to Greg's point, do you have anything to say to that, or?
Yeah, well, sorry, am I muted? I can't tell. Nope, I'm not muted. Okay. Trying to toggle on my screens. I think I agree with Greg. I think that we're not talking about the organization. We're talking about children here. And so my recommendation would be to not capitalize, to omit the confusion for others reading it.
Possibility, as has been suggested, that the resolution part, beginning with "be it resolved, Black Lives Matter, the Governor's Advisory Council," and so on and so forth, each single line statements. And I bought us a little bit of real estate space by changing the margins, and we can tweak that still. Everything should certainly fit on one page, but again, beginning with "be it resolved," perhaps adding the word "that Black Lives Matter," first statement, then the next statement, "the Governor's Educator Advisory Council pledges to be anti-racist." Possibly the next.
I promise everybody I'll get this looking pretty for you. So try and ignore the formatting for the minute and just focus on.
Yeah, but if we are going to vote momentarily, I think we need to see what the proclamation document at least is pretty close to it. And this remaining piece is really front and center.
Okay, so where would you like the line breaks then, Gigi?
Okay, well, you know, people chime in there. "Be it resolved that Black Lives Matter." Then do you want new carriage return, new paragraph, "the Governor's Advisory Council pledges to be anti-racist"?
Sorry, I'm sorry. Can I just point out, I think that kind of weakens the statement. I don't know if anyone,
okay.
I don't want to be nitpicky, but you have a number of English teachers on this call, so I almost think that that weakens it. And I think if you get rid of that, it doesn't matter, because now you have the "B" in Black Lives Matter capitalized, and that's it. I don't think anyone's going to associate it with the movement. I don't know. What do you guys think? Sorry.
Not to get lost in the sauce, I'm still looking at the problems. We're still segregated. We have a higher percentage of children not graduating from high school.
Right.
We have all of these real problems. And I see what you're saying about the prettiness of it, but I'm just more into the meat of it, in the lens that we view things, because we're going to get to the part about the return to school council, and then we're going to hit with those same things about, well, how does race affect the decision to reopen school? And that's, I mean, I see what you're saying too, but I just don't want to get lost about the content or the direction that we're going.
I think the idea is, Sorry, I'm sorry. I think the idea is the language needs to
Okay.
be as strong as possible. That's where I'm coming from on this.
Yeah, and Marcus, like, thank you for providing the meat. Like,
Yeah,
seriously,
I agree.
for all of the
Clean
work
all
that you
the
did.
dirt, like underneath
And
the
yeah,
windows,
we
like the
English
whole
teachers
lanai, right?
are just, we get caught up on language, and rhetoric is actually going to make this maybe more effective. And so, yeah, we do tend to get nitpicky, but I do think that there's a reason for that. So, but thank you for the meat. Like, you brought this to us, and we just get to like make it more effective. I mean, just or as effective as possible. That's what I mean.
Personally, I'm okay with any structural edits so anyone decides to make on this. I think the wording is great. I mean, can we approve it like that? And then if people decide to put line breaks somewhere, I mean, we can just approve those before it happens. I don't know.
Yeah, I think definitely pulling out, be it resolved that Black Lives Matter unto itself is very effective. And then the concluding paragraph will certainly stand on its own and reiterate what we believe.
So Marcus, in terms of just a detail-oriented thing, so you have those sources cited at the bottom. Is that where you got those statistics?
Yes.
Okay.
And also, like, for a point of clarity, most resolutions that you see really don't really have, I guess I'm yielding to the English teachers, but most resolutions don't have footnotes. Am I right or wrong? I'm just asking the English people.
I
I'm
think,
just saying.
yeah, I think you don't usually see them. So,
Okay.
okay. But I don't think it's wrong. Like, if you wanted
Okay.
to have your resources on there, I don't think that's a bad idea, because people might naturally want to know more about where you got these from, and we're the Educator Advisory Council. So I think it's absolutely right. Zainab, you're shaking your head. I think that's absolutely in the right place because of who we are.
I agree. Or we could put in, and in addition, we could put in hyperlinks, because I think most people are going to view this online.
Yeah, that too.
I think the resources are very important, because people will click on them, and I think if they're hyperlinks, people are more likely to click on them, and they'll read more about this, which is very important. So I appreciate the sources, actually.
So I do have to raise one thing. I was just having Kelly double check the stats, Marcus, and she's getting different numbers than you got here. So for example, she checked Hispanic is the word that's used for graduation rate in my school data, and it came up at 76% for her rather than the 64% that's right here. So I'm wondering, did we do any, like, what do we do about those kinds of things? Did anybody double check the stats in here? And I apologize, I missed the last meeting. So if this has already been discussed.
Yeah, the year that I was using was 2018. If they use the current year, yeah, that could be included. Because I was using 2018. I don't know if she was using this year.
I had used 2018, 2019. If I go back to 2017, 2018, then Hispanic is listed at 74%.
So we probably should double check these numbers before we approve the resolution, because that would be something I wouldn't want to change after you all approved it. We could do that. If you wanted to take a break, we could do that and then come back to it. Sorry, now I'm throwing you all off, Greg. I don't even know where we are on the agenda.
Yeah, that's okay. So I think one of the reasons most resolutions don't have footnotes and sources cited is typically they also don't have statistics and things that you would source. Usually they're more, yeah, Lisa, I see Lisa, nodding your head. So I think that's one of the challenges here, is that those numbers will change, but the resolution won't. So I hadn't really thought about that. Sorry, Marcus, I wasn't thinking about that ahead of time. So we could either verify the statistics and change them, or just change the wording to get out the specific statistics and just recognize each one of those groups that there's a disparity. So Zane, I'm sorry, I'll step off here and let you.
It's okay, actually. So yeah, then we can say, whereas in Michigan, Black, Latinx, and Indigenous children graduate at significantly lower rates than white children, but then you have the hyperlinks there. I don't know if Marcus, if that stays true to the spirit of what you're trying to say. If you want the numbers there, then absolutely let's edit the numbers. But yeah, that's an idea. Only because I think even when the numbers start to change, if people look at this in a year or two or whatever, it's still going to be true, unfortunately, and there's still a fight to fight. So it might make it less time specific. I don't know.
Marcus, you just muted instead of unmute. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I accept that the statement that you made, and we can use your suggestion for that.
Okay, so I have to offer you a friendly amendment. Significant is a term that's used in data that it actually, so significantly is probably not the right word to use because we don't know if it is significant. I'm sure it is, but scientifically, we don't know that.
Let's say markedly then. I don't know. I don't know. Is that an okay word? Totally not a statistician here. I don't like data. I'm allergic.
So what about something like in the first line, 45% of Black children, or excuse me, a disproportionate number of Black children live in poverty. So we could use, I know that's similar to significant, but I don't know if that, you see what I'm getting at here? So another question, just in terms of, you know, Zoom meetings aren't that easy to stay in forever. We haven't taken any breaks. Should we break for 10 minutes and then come back to this? Or I see some heads shaking, or just plan on editing this and coming back to it in August? I just think at this point, we're kind of, I don't want to lose this because I think it's so important, but I think we're kind of stuck a little bit. So suggestions on what to do right now.
Break sounds
Well,
good.
if you're okay, and I probably won't be able to come back after the break, but here, what I'm going to say is this: if getting the resources out is important and you want it attached to this resolution, then you have to finish it now. Like if you put this off till August, but you want it attached to the resources, you know, just like think that through, because if they're going to come out together, then you have to finish it, right?
So what if you considered passing the resolution without the whereas as the proclamation, and we included the statistics in the introduction that you don't need to vote on?
So the resolution would have like more general language, like markedly or disproportionate, but the introduction might have some statistics in it. Is that what you're proposing?
Or you could knock down the proclamation to be this right here and include the other content in the introduction.
I don't know. I don't think I'd want to take out all of them. I kind of like the idea of saying, you know, because of all of this, this is what we're saying. What do you guys think?
Oh, and I know this isn't popular as we're talking this, but I like the data because I feel words like markedly, it just doesn't have the same effect as actually seeing the numbers to me. But I'm a data person. I like that.
I would agree. I think the numbers are more powerful. We've used that word powerful a few times already in this, and I think that really makes a mark with the numbers. However, all of us, I mean, I have not and will never do a dissertation, but I think all of us understand that data can be very elusive, and one expert's dissertation data could differ from another expert's dissertation data. So maybe a statement before that kind of blankets the fact that these are very powerful numbers, but you know, it's collection of data is not an exact science, is what I find out quite a bit. And so I'm wondering if to keep it powerful with the numbers, because I love the numbers, And we have this resource page that is so beautifully connected to this. Can we amend before the data starts to come down, a sentence that basically lets everyone know to understand that data isn't necessarily 100%
Or
exact?
if you attach a year, like
Yeah.
Marcus had put 2018 in, then it makes it clear. And if there's more recent numbers that Kelly found, I think that would be okay to amend those numbers to make them the most accurate, most recent that we can find. I think, but yeah, I like this kind of list of like, look what's happening to the children of Michigan, and here's why we're doing this. Like, we need to change some things. Like, I like to have that listed there. But if we need to change the number, or Kelly put the numbers in, yeah. So maybe just, updating the numbers might be. Thank you, Kelly, by the way.
So Kelly, are those graduation rates? Are those poverty rates? And what year are you using?
Sorry, I had all of the different screens up. I had to make it back to the mute button one. Those are the poverty ones. It is using the source that Marcus had listed on the bottom, but that one links directly to the page where those numbers come from.
What year?
Let me get back to it.
Okay.
So Marcus, are you comfortable editing those numbers slightly if we can? If that enables us to-
No problem. No problem with that at all. That's great.
Okay, and I'm sorry not to be nitpicky, but I have a question. Is it more impactful to say half of Black students live in poverty, 1 in 3 Latinx students lives in poverty, and 1 in 4 American Indian students lives in poverty, or do we want to keep the percentages? And also, in terms of like grammatical correctness, the actual digits would be what you'd want here. If you want the numbers to make an impact, you're going to want the digits anyway, because they'll pop out. So it's just, do you want to say half or do you want to say 47%? I
love you, Zainab. I love you so much.
I love you too. I knew you were thinking.
So I guess I have a technical question. Is 24% actually 1 in 4 though, the way that the stats are run? And I'm going to go back to Kelly because she's staring at it. They might not necessarily be the same thing because that it presumes all students are accounted for or I don't know. I don't know that those are the same thing because statistics.
I think I'd be okay with just putting in the numbers, just a 47 instead of writing it out. What do you think?
Yes, especially since we're citing the source from which we got 47% and as an exact number.
This was done through a survey.
Oh, this was a survey of who?
All kinds of things that are buried in this.
This is not my school data.
The poverty ones are not from my school data. They were from the National Center for Children in Poverty as part of Bank Street Graduate School of Education. They did a statewide scan or a national scan and did a feature on each state. And in the Michigan one, it says national data were collected from the 2016 American Community Survey, representing information from 2016, and then they updated their website on 2018. So the data is actually from 2016 from that American Community Survey.
And it is Michigan, right? Yeah, Michigan profile.
Michigan, yes. And then I was working on getting the My School Data ones, which there are economic classifications on that as well, but I don't know if that'll be as easy for me to get at.
Okay, for my English people, if it's the same source on all 3 of these, do I do 3 separate footnotes?
You do IBID. You'll say IBID for the subsequent one. So you list it in the first one and then the next 2 or whatever, however many you'd say IBID. But by the way, we're going to want to watch our verb tenses because in 2016, and then live is present tense. And then one of the you have graduate, then graduated. So sorry again, the English people speak.
For the graduation rate, I was going to pull the 4-year graduation rate off of my school data. What year would you like? Would you like me to try to match the 2016, or would you like the most recent data available?
Probably the most recent data.
I think most recent would be best on that.
I can do that.
Yeah, and the way that's worded, in Michigan, only 60% of Black students graduate high school. It makes it sound like that's like the average for every year, which is, I don't know if that's true. So do you need to add a year there too? Do we want to talk about a specific year? That's what I was kind of wondering when I was looking at that. Are we talking about on an average, or are we talking about in a specific year? Because living in poverty, we were talking about a specific year.
So I kind of thought we'd be almost done with the whole meeting right now. Should we take a brief recess? Let Kelly kind of catch up with our thoughts and then come back with, any thoughts on how we should make that more consistent, or we just want to keep on plugging through? I was just thinking 10 minutes.
I could use a break.
I have to go, so I won't be back, but Zainab and Angie, I think Kathy, you guys all have my number if you want to text me. I just won't be near a computer. So if you need anything, let me know.
Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you. It's very weird. It's just social distance vacation, but we're doing it.
Where are you at, Kara?
We're up in Petoskey.
Okay.
Here.
Jeff, where are you
Let me
at?
show you.
You said you're on vacation too.
You see my view?
We're up in Torch Lake.
Okay. We're in
Oh,
Ludington.
fun.
So
We spent the first part at a softball tournament for 3 days, baking on softball fields by Holland, Michigan, and then we came over here.
So I'm going to move for a 10-minute recess.
Yeah.
It's 10:27. So I'd move to recess until 10:37. Is there a second?
I second.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll see everybody back at 10:37.
Bye, you guys.
Bye. Have fun.
Thanks.
Okay, so I don't see everyone's face at the moment, but I think it's safe for us to convene those 10 minutes. So Leah just posted an idea in the chat room. So Leah, do you want to kind of just reset us real quick? And then I just want to also double check that Marcus is comfortable with all the changes since he kind of gave us the opportunity to deal with all this in the first place. So Leah, did you want to do a quick reset and propose
Yeah,
it?
so I was thinking that we could just quick verify the data, but then I note that these two, the second most segregated school system in America and the school to prison pipeline, are going to need a little bit more time probably for the fact checking process. And so something I have seen the State Board of Education do, for example, is move to approve the resolution with a note that it needs a couple of corrections before it is issued publicly. So I think that is something that you could do. You could make a motion to approve the Governor's Educator Advisory Council proclamation for social justice. You could read aloud this section right here if you wanted to, so that it's written in the minutes verbatim, which I think might be nice. And then with a note that the data needs to be fact checked and updated would probably be sufficient for us to move it forward, if you're comfortable with the bottom and the top.
And so if we don't go that route, I think the other option is just we give ourselves 10 minutes. If we're not done in 10 minutes, we just table for August. But I think you know, we need to do something. So thoughts on Leah's suggestion?
Yeah, I think that we can
That's good.
quickly look it over and move forward is how I feel.
Agreed.
So are we there now, or do we have a few last minute edits to complete before we trust the fact checkers to check the statistics?
Well, I'm going to be writing an intro. So I think if you guys trust me for the grammar stuff, then I am happy to look over the technicalities, but I think we're all happy with the content, right? We established that.
Well, okay, then I think we are ready for a motion and a second if we can get one.
I'll make a motion
What are you moving to do?
to accept it, but with the caveat of it being fact checked and updated. And then we meet it. I'm assuming we meet again, and or no, it says it in there. Once it's fact checked and updated, it's a living document. And so that's my motion. We'll accept it the way that it is with the caveat at the bottom.
And with
I second.
Introduction.
That too.
Didn't catch the second, sorry.
I second.
Kathy? Discussion? Okay.
I'm going to add one thing. So I think that, you know, I've been in several different school districts, and I think we've always kind of been satisfied with promoting diversity or trying not to be racist. So I think the idea that we're going to actually actively oppose racism, Marcus, is really important. I think that's kind of the shift we're sort of seeing in society, where it's not good enough to just not laugh at a inappropriate joke. It's not good enough just to pretend racism doesn't exist because it's not directly affecting us. So I really think that this kind of reflects that shift, and it's probably a little overdue. I also think in some ways as educators, we've gotten off the hook a little bit. I know Black Lives Matter really is focused on police and policing, but I feel like you know, we play a huge role in either perpetuating that and ideally in preventing it. So I just am really grateful that we had the opportunity to kind of go through this, and especially for you, Marcus, for bringing it to us to consider and vote on.
Oh,
Greg,
thank you, Greg.
so
Thank you, Marcus.
Yes, and thank you, Marcus,
thank you guys.
for saying that.
Everything's all
Thank you
appreciated.
so much, Marcus.
Thank everybody. It's all appreciated. And like I said, this is still evolving, because to me, it's like a positive thing, because every time I'm looking around, be it the NFL, they're changing the names. they should have changed Washington Redskins 50 years ago. But every day we turn around, something's being included, and that's great. That's what progress is all about, and we're making it possible too.
And Greg, I just want to thank you for saying that, because you're giving me fodder for an introduction, because this is our statement that we're taking responsibility for our profession. It's very easy to call out other professions, you're right, but we're taking responsibility. So thank you.
Greg, I appreciate what you said also, because so I've been doing this for a long time, but I've never had, let's see, how do I say this? I've never felt like my plate is so full in the summer to get ready for next year. And I've never felt more hungry to devour this plate. And I know that COVID changed everything, but then all the injustices that have been brought out over the last several weeks has really changed my outlook as an educator and as a social studies teacher. I think I really appreciate your comment in the fact that, hey, a lot of this responsibility is on us as educators, because we can't rely on media, the family situation necessarily always being the proper channels where information gets disseminated. I think as teachers, we play maybe one of the most important roles ever in our nation's history in terms of moving forward and moving with progress in mind and not just spinning our tires. So I'm psyched for this upcoming school year. I know it's going to be one of the steepest mountains, but I just appreciate it. Very important work.
I think we've been very wise too to make this a living document, proclamation, with the flexibility of updating not only the figures and the data, but any other tweaks or amendments that would be needed would come from this council. And again, Marcus, thank you. And Zena, I know you're going to just move this forward in the right direction.
If I may, and Greg, I thought after the last meeting, this is where you were going to go with it, and I'm not arguing we add it necessarily at this point, but I think that what's potentially missing from it, and I don't know that it necessarily belongs, but it's this idea of how a large chunk of our population has been complicit in creating the problem, right? When we look at the discipline practices in a lot of our schools from K through 12, right, all the way on up, and how we handle, let's talk about suspensions and expulsions, right? We can talk all day about what the administrators do, but when teachers kick kids out of their classrooms, special ed students especially, when we look at the socioeconomic status of those students and we look at the color of their skin, the statistics speak volumes. So taking some responsibility for that on some level, I think, is important. And I think you kind of mentioned that a little bit, or leaning that way, unless I misinterpreted what you were saying. But I think that that's something we need to give some consideration to, and hopefully our statement, at least starts to shout in that direction.
Thank you, Tony. That was in the lines of what I wanted to say. But I think as we're talking about as educators, we've already made our merit curriculum. We've already submitted that. But as educators, maybe something we want to think about too is having classes on knowing your rights. When you are, when you are talked to by a police officer, and knowing when something is not being handled the correct way, and educating our students on, all of these types of laws and what their rights are, in fact, when they are being pulled over or stopped or those kinds of things.
And I just want to say thank you so much, Marcus, for this. And as a white girl from the UP, I think that this is so necessary, that it needs to be incorporated into the curriculum, so that people in rural areas understand that race actually matters, that, that color matters, So thank you so much. And I think that we as educators are going to be able to bring that to our students, and thanks.
No, thank you guys. And like the document, it's all self-reflective. So it's like you view it, and then like for myself, I was speaking with a student from Southwest Detroit, and he was telling me about how he felt when ICE was in the neighborhood and how the fear that he had. Now I have to have empathy for all races and all nationalities, and that's the beauty of being a teacher. You see that when you have a diverse classroom where you work with diverse coworkers, it gives you that greater empathy to be a greater teacher. And that's what we're striving for. We want our children to see that in themselves. We want to see that in ourselves, and we just keep on going from there. The momentum is on our side now, so we just have to go ahead and just seize the moment for it and just keep on pushing it forward.
Okay, well, I guess we are ready for the vote. It's moved and seconded. So, and Leah did let me know she does have to step out at 11, but Kelly will take care of us. So this way, Leah at least gets to run us through the roll call vote on the resolution.
Yep. Zenith,
Yes.
Eva,
Yes.
Kara. Oh, Kara's gone. Hold please. Tony,
Yes.
Gigi,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Ramont, absent. Ruth,
Yes.
Mandy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Marcus,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Okay, nice work, everyone. And I will, as I follow up with Brandy, I'll kind of make sure you guys stay in the loop so you know what happens to these documents. And I'm sure, we'll see the finalized version before it gets published. So I have my notes here, so I'll have to talk to Leah about exactly what we agreed to do. But I will make sure I follow through on what we said and then make sure you guys know exactly when and how that happens. So any questions for me about how we'll follow through right now, or concerns, or just kind of what we discussed?
When this is published, are we going to, I guess, just what we talked about earlier, as a group, are we going to take it upon ourselves to make sure that our superintendents and our administrators are seeing this and promoting it in this fashion and getting it out to our union membership and those kinds of things? Is that right? We agreed on that, or? I guess what I'm asking is, as a group, are we going to be the first promotional machine of this? I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I feel that we should. Anytime we have a presentation, I think that's what I've been doing. Like in the loop for the other, like when we had the third grade reading law, I spread it with my union members. I spread it with my superintendent, with the members of my school. That's personally how I've been doing it. I don't know if officially was that okay or kosher or not, but that's what I've been doing.
I just remember when we first met, when we were talking as a group, when we were doing the bylaws and all that, we were talking about allowing the governor or her staff to, we didn't want to get out in front of anything and take away from anything that they want to do. I just don't want to overstep that bound, is I guess why I'm asking.
I think once this is approved, it's going to go out to superintendents and staff somehow. So I think that's good. And honestly, like I presented to our district's 60+ union reps about my position with this group. And so I think that we can reach out to our unions and different schools and ask for presentation time, or so. I don't even know if we're going to be physically there, but you know what I mean. I definitely plan on being proactive with this one.
I think it's part of our charge. I think that's one of the things that I know, for one, that's one thing that I need to work on more in terms of just being more of an ambassador to our schools. I think we used that word a couple times in earlier meetings.
Okay. And so Eva, if you have any specific questions about that, just let me know and we can kind of talk through how that works, but essentially we're in a public meeting right now. So there's, everything we do is automatically public. And I agree with what everyone said. I think one of the reasons we've been created was actually to promote the things we produce. So, but if you have specific questions, just let me know and we can, or you can talk to anyone on the council, of course.
I will.
About that as well. Okay. So we have on there August meeting discussion. I was a little concerned early on that August could be difficult for us to meet. We have a little bit more information now than we did when we last met, but not a ton. So any thoughts on if we just keep an August meeting on from 9 to noon or so, like we've been doing all summer, or postponing our next meeting to September?
I think we should meet virtually again in August.
Yeah, August. I'm good with August.
Yeah.
I'm good with that also.
I think meeting is important every month.
And that would be Kara's last meeting, so it'd be good to say goodbye to her too.
Okay, well, let's not discuss that anymore. Let's stick with the August meeting. So the next item on the agenda says discuss released return to work recommendation. So let me kind of start that off, and then if you have questions about anything, let me know. So the main thing I want to emphasize with that return to learning commission is that Brandy essentially chaired the work of that advisory council, and just she just did an unbelievable job, as I'm sure nobody here is surprised by, but just the amount of work she put in, the amount of listening she did. I just can't tell you how lucky I felt to be working with Brandy's leadership in that group. But if you have any specific questions or concerns you want me to try, and I don't have another meeting with that group on the schedule yet, but if you have anything you either want me to push their way through Brandy or just questions about the work, I'm happy to discuss it. It's on the agenda because I think there were some concerns.
I have a question, but Marcus had his hand up first, so go for it, Marcus.
No, you go ahead. Ladies first.
Oh, you're such a gentleman. So I'm sorry I missed the meeting, the special meeting we had. I apologize for that. I was reading 500 essays that week. But I didn't see anything about standardized testing on the list of questions, and forgive me if this is a dead horse that I'm beating. But I know at least one state has canceled standardized testing, and that's Georgia. I'm sure there are others. Greg, do you have a sense if that's kind of in the realm of possibility?
That is in the realm of your legislature, and they are on recess. So it was brought up a lot, just like we've discussed testing, but those decisions, I'm not sure, it's too bad Brandy isn't here today, but I think those decisions, and Leah probably knows this, are more in the legislative realm or maybe even MDE. I don't think the governor has the authority to just unilaterally cancel testing. It's definitely on the radar. There were 2 Republican legislators on that group. To be quite frank with you, they introduced themselves and never said a word after that. So that was pretty frustrating for me personally, because I thought we had a chance to sort of build some bridges there. But at any rate, those things are on the radar, but I just don't think that is within the parameters of what was being done. So Leah, if you want to kind of explain how that works.
Yeah, so the Michigan Department of Education asked for a federal waiver. It's actually a federal requirement. And so that waiver has been requested, a waiver of standardized testing. And they don't expect to hear, though, for 60 days is their best guess. And it may not even occur until after the election.
Yeah, Cassandra Albrecht had put out she actually published the statement that they sent to Betsy DeVos. I think that was on last Wednesday or Thursday that she put that out, and that's exactly what it was requesting. But thank you for that information. I didn't know how long that was going to take before we heard back. So 60 days is a long time.
So if I can just ask for point of clarification, because there's the makeup testing that's happening this fall, and then there's the actual testing next April. So would that be for both, or would that be, if it doesn't happen for this fall, maybe eliminating for next spring?
I think the request was for next year, which would eliminate makeup testing as well, in my opinion, but I'd have to probably go read the statement or the waiver request specifically to be
My
certain.
understanding, sorry.
Go ahead,
My
Kelly.
understanding was that the makeup testing was to be able to provide a college entrance option for those who needed it. So it wasn't a required for everybody makeup, but providing that opportunity for students who wanted it to enter into college to have that at their school.
I believe you're correct because we're not putting on the testing. They would be at test sites from my understanding. So only kids going to four-year universities would be taking the SAT if their university is requiring it, because universities are waiving that requirement left and right. So
Yeah, it's messy right now because a lot of universities might be waiving the requirement, but then they still use it for merit scholarship consideration. So I'm gonna have to read through then what I have, because in our district, we signed up for our rising seniors and our rising sophomores to be tested. I mean, we have, and our rising juniors. Yeah, all three of them were going to be tested in the fall. And I thought that was something, I didn't realize that was a local decision. Excuse me. I thought that was something that we had to do.
and additionally, just for everyone, just to remind everyone, I believe this is the year that PSAT data was going to start counting. So testing is becoming higher stakes this school year. So just kind of.
Going to start testing for our teacher evaluation. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, sorry, I should have clarified. Yes, starting to count for teacher evaluation, 40% of our evaluations are going to be 9 through 11 instead of just 11.
Any other questions or comments, things you want passed on?
Greg, just to follow up on your very well stated words about Brandy, we also want to thank you for being so flexible, going back and forth between both councils and keeping us updated. And Leah, we understand that you've been doing above and beyond with your position and greatly appreciate your support. So we've gotten through, 4 months of this, and hopefully the summer will continue to move along. Thank you.
Thanks. I kind of thought it was a break. Anytime Mandy wants to chair the council, I'm happy to step aside and just listen and participate. So thanks.
And I did not mention Mandy, just fabulous job of keeping us running so well these last 2 meetings.
And Greg, you were a TV star for a little while. I have one more question. Was there any discussion about Michigan merit flexibility for the class of 2021?
Well, so that council really was strictly advisory. So for example, there were things in there that I didn't anticipate when it was published. So I can only tell you that was absolutely discussed in the advisory council setting. It's definitely on the radar of the decision makers, but it's hard to know. Again, what happens is the legislature becomes important, and then funding, all those different things that the governor has to use to make the decisions are variables that in that room we didn't really have to worry about. So I wouldn't feel comfortable commenting on that. I can just tell you it's definitely on the radar of that office.
Marcus, you're on mute. You're muted.
Hey, sorry, Greg, I had a question. I was getting a lot of questions and concerns from the teachers that's K-5 about the mask requirement, because they had either it's required or strongly recommended. And I think in the document it's saying if the K-5, if you kept your students all day, then it wasn't required for them to have a mask on all day. But if you're 6 to 12, masks were required all day. And I don't know if could you shake that out a little more? Because I think right now teachers in K-5 are feeling like they're at risk more if the students aren't required to have a mask all day.
Yeah, so I guess the decision, the healthcare experts that were in that room were a little worried about a couple things. One is compliance. One is, if you're not using the mask the right way, it doesn't actually work that well. So I think what they decided was that when kids are mixed together, so on the bus, in the hallways that are young, they would be required to wear the mask, but then in a classroom, assuming they stay in a cohort, that the younger kids didn't have to. So I think that was their thinking. We didn't get, again, those are details that the governor kind of sorted out separate from any specific advice. But I think the idea was to kind of balance the realities in the classroom and schools with the dangers of the virus. And I think it's also pretty clear in that guidance that schools are able to have more strict requirements. They can't go less than those minimum requirements. But if a school says, hey, we've got a lot of spread in our area, we're going to require masks, they are able to do that. They just can't go below the minimum. And the other thing that's in the executive order that wasn't in the guidance was that any schools that do not do anything that's strongly recommended, they actually have to publicize that and post it. So if your district decides that even though masks are strongly recommended not to do it, they're supposed to post that. And I think the idea there would be could be some community pressure, or at least parents making informed decisions about what the conditions are in their classrooms. So again, that decision making wasn't something I was directly a part of, but we did talk quite a bit about masks and if they should be required. And of course, social distancing is the thing that was really absent in terms of actual requirements. So is that what you're asking? Did I miss?
Oh, yeah, thanks. That was it. And this is just a question for the body. For summer school, most of are you guys having like face-to-face, or is it still going to be like Zoom summer schools instruction?
Our district has not started face-to-face. Our summer school is just remaining online.
Yeah, ours is too, E2020. So
Ours
Yeah,
is also distance learning.
Our camps are virtual also.
Yeah, the same in my district is still online.
Because I think as of now, I think Detroit they're trying to like do a blended version. So either some of the schools are going to be open and some of them are going to be online. And I think they start next week. And that's where a lot of the anxiety is starting to kick in. Because I know it's like regions and zones, like Detroit is zone 1, and Ruth, you're probably like zone 8. And so in zone 1, we're like on the governors, we're like phase 4. And that's where it's kind of getting shaky, because cases were going up and down in the last couple of weeks. And then after the 4th of July, there might be a spike again. So if a zone is in zone 3, that automatically causes schools to revert to being online. Because the governor, does he announce that? Is it like a daily announcement when she dials it back, or is it like, I'm trying to see what website do you go to, what link do you go to find out the zones? It's like being in the airport doing 9/11. It was like green to orange, and you never knew what color scheme you were supposed to be in. And like now, a lot of the school districts, a lot of the teachers and parents are sure, like, well, are we in phase 1 or are we phase 3, or what's going on? Is there like a site that we can go to?
I know my school, I mean, do you get like the governor's announcements, like emails? Because she does send those out every single day, and you might be able to see it that way. But, I mean, that can shift. And right now we have a spike in the UP. We were phase 5 for a long time because, there were very few cases, and especially in our county, 16 new cases in the last week in my county. So yeah, it's like, I don't know what fall is going to look like. And so I know our district, we're getting ready for like, okay, are we going to actually be able to open up as phase 5, or are we going to open up as phase 3? And so I think we just have to wait this out a little bit, I mean, just to see what happens. And I have family members that are like, you need to go get tested today. And I said, well, I'm in a meeting. And so I think I'm going to go get tested, but we'll see. Yeah, anyway.
Greg,
There
I
is a dashboard map that the University of Michigan created as part of this work. It's the My Safe Start map. The link to it is in the chat, and that tells the phases of each of the regions and whether they're moving up or down, how many tests they've done, how many, what percentage of tests are positive. That's all done through the map. You can look at region level or county level.
Greg, I had a question.
Thank you.
My specific area might have the opposite problem that others are concerned with, that, most people are going, how can we be safe? The political culture of the area I work in is very anti-mask, regardless of the spikes that were currently occurring. And we have a huge Facebook surge right now, basically saying, you can't make me wear a mask, and I'm not sending my kids to school with one. Was there thought about how to give guidance to communities from that council in that particular instance?
I mean, I guess I would advise them to like read some sciencey stuff, but separate from the council, we did discuss the idea of like a PSA, so some kind of promotional campaign, where you'd see like college mascots wearing masks. Ideally, we could get to the point where kids are asking for masks and their parents are saying, I'm not buying you that. So that was in there a little bit. I think that would be just a kind of a separate issue in terms of how you promote it. But, she had to, the way we discussed it in the room was that we're not deciding if it's mask or no mask. We're trying to figure out, is it in-person instruction or not? So people just have to accept that if they want to get their kids into buildings, they're going to have to make some changes. The smallest change, in my view, that we can make is to put on a damn mask. So that's my thought. Sorry, I know that doesn't help you. You're a super, you don't have to deal with it.
Just
But,
imagine if you're looking at what happens at a Costco, imagine that with children at the front door is the practical logistics of, you're infringing on my constitutional rights, and now you're telling me my child does not have access to education. And I think those are logistically fights that are going to occur at our doorways, on our buses. And I'm just looking for any help or support that will help us get that through, because I mean, I've got my mask on every day, but others in our community are just not.
So Mandy, kids don't have full constitutional rights at school. For example, they can be searched. So they do forfeit some degree. I mean, I'm not saying, and there is not complete freedom of speech in schools, right? So we can use logic. If we can't use science, we can use logic. I don't know.
I think that both don't work very well during this time. I'm just telling you, I try to use logic all the time. I try to use science. A lot of people just don't listen and they don't care. And it's a real problem, Andy. So I'm sorry, it's going to be a struggle.
And
Mandy, I'm kind of near where you are, and I completely understand what you're saying. There's no logic and science discussion with it. And I have no idea how to mitigate those concerns when there's one or the other. Everybody better be wearing the mask, or don't you dare make my child wear a mask. I mean, I just don't even know how you mitigate that.
And it's not just the students, there's staff. I've surveyed my membership, and I have 308 paras that I represent, and I can tell you some of them came back and that's what they were saying is, I don't think we should be doing anything and just resume as normal, and I should not have to, and I'm not going to make my kid wear a mask.
Well, so Mandy, so the governor definitely is aware of those issues. Yeah, there were superintendents in that room. So but she eventually has to make a decision that's about safety and health. The other thing is it's face coverings. So for people that say you need to see a kid's smiling face, they can wear a shield. So there are some things people can do that they just don't think about. But she's aware that superintendents and school boards will struggle to get compliance, but I'm not sure what she could have done about that otherwise.
I'm not questioning the actions of the council or the governor. I'm just looking for any assistance that'll help, like when you say PSAs, that's great. Any kind of campaign to get it so it doesn't become our public school district is doing this. We are all doing this to be safe. Anything that'll move that dial would be great.
And just out of curiosity, I've read several articles on substitutes. Well, we haven't had a lot of them over the recent years, but it's even going to be worse. And that retirements, I had a friend of mine looking into her retirement, and ORS reported to her that it's been really, really crazy there with the amount of retirements. Now, we already had a educator shortage before this. Is that something that was brought up during the return to learn council with staffing shortages maybe getting worse?
Yeah, it was brought up a little. I'm guessing that that's one of the reasons she didn't emphasize social distancing, right? Because if you have fewer kids in the building, you need more staff. I'm not sure about that. But the governor is definitely aware that we do not have enough personnel or money to do things the way we would like to in an ideal world. I think that's safe to say.
Yeah, because I know as part of that, I'm trying to remember now going through those 64 pages, but I think for custodial, it mentioned bringing on more custodial staff to help sanitize. Many schools have third party, they privatize their custodial. So I don't know what that means either. And when you privatize, you don't necessarily get the same quality of work as you would as actual school custodians, hired custodians.
So any other thoughts you want either just clarified or conveyed to Brandy?
I mean, I just think we need to stay vigilant about the importance of public education for everybody. And I'm just very worried about it. And I feel like this is going to be the opportunity for people like Betsy DeVos to be able to say that public education is not something that is worth spending money on. And I'm actually seriously worried about this. And I think that if we can on this council and as educators make sure that we are conveying the importance of public education and that it should be available for everybody at all times. I mean, every day. I think that, anyway, that's what I want to do. And that's what I've been doing, via my own, social media and things like that. So it's a slippery slope is all I want to say. I mean, I'm okay with online learning or blended learning in order to keep people safe, because safety and health is obviously very important. But at the same time, we need to work to preserve public education.
Okay, well, the last thing on the agenda, I actually ran this idea by Ben. I didn't get a chance to run it by Leah, and she's not in here. So, Kelly, you might have some insight as to how doable this would be, given the way we're meeting. But one of the things they did on that Return to Learn Council is they actually had a student representative, and the governor didn't put that in her EO, but we could easily invite a student or two from our buildings to just kind of join our meeting, and we could just invite them to comment as sort of guests. And I was just thinking, I say Zainab likes the idea, but I was thinking it would serve a couple of purposes. One is we could interest kids, like to Ruth's concern, in being teachers in public education or public education policy, and also just the idea of public service. I think it's useful for kids to see that there are things going on that that do impact their lives directly, even if they don't see it. So any interest or thoughts on trying to work out a system where we can invite students? They'd be guests, they wouldn't be officially on the council, but any conversation about that concept?
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. Great idea, Greg.
I'm very enthusiastic about
Maybe
it because I think our kids, like I've noticed my kids as of recent, have been change agents and they're doing the work. So I think they'd be very excited to be part of this.
And maybe since we're 15, maybe we do what we do, we kind of round robin it, where maybe 3 of us for every meeting bring a student on board or invite a student. I just know as a youth, I would love to see other youth in the room with me so that I didn't seem so alone with a bunch of adults. But so I don't know, I like the idea of 3 at a time. We can, I don't know, thoughts?
We're still young, Ben.
Certainly
You
no
are.
I'm sorry. No problem for online meetings. I believe that field trips have been canceled, so it might be more of a challenge to get a student up to Lansing.
I'm not sure how Open Meetings Act and privacy and children under 18 would work, if we would have to get any sort of signatures or disclosures from parents with live stream. Something to consider. I know that students present at the board meetings all the time, so there's definitely a way to do it. I'm just not sure what steps it would be to make it happen.
Thanks, Kelly.
I think it's a good idea. I tell them all along that they need to be involved, especially the voting group, the seniors. So I think it's, decisions impact their lives from now into the future. So I think it's an excellent idea.
I think it's an awesome idea. Would they be able to, would comment during the public commentary, or how would that work? Would they be actually, as a guest, would they be part of the group during the whole discussion, or just during those times?
That'd be up to us. I was picturing them just kind of being in a Zoom window with us, and then, we would just have to be conscientious, asking, especially if they're one of our guests, hey, do you have any thoughts? And because I think they would probably sit back, which is good too. But yeah, I was thinking of them inviting them to join the meeting, and then participating just like we do, kind of as they see fit or as needed. Probably not doing any committee work. They wouldn't be on the council, but just kind of seeing how things work and letting us know if what they're hearing makes any sense. So that's what I was thinking.
I've been part of an agenda where there's an agenda item that's specifically for the youth to contribute. So it's almost like the spotlight is going to hit me towards the end of the meeting, and so it kind of just raises the level of concern and in terms of them paying attention and things like that. And that might be a safe way for them to feel involved, is an agenda item that's specifically devoted just to the youth voice or the youth input, the youth feedback.
Would it be something like we would have, like, would they be a guest for 2 months? Like, how would we rotate that? Will we choose 1 or 2 students and they would be on for 6? I'm like, sorry to ask this question, but I love the idea, but I'm just wondering, like, do we rotate it every month, or is it they stay on for 3 months just for consistency kind of thing? Or how would that look? Sorry to be a pain.
Oh, that's okay. I was just thinking, kind of taking Ben's idea. We would say whatever number we pick, we'd rotate like we did locations around the state. And then of course the students could always join. I mean, it's a public meeting, so they'd always be welcome to join, especially when we're on Zoom. But I thought it was more kind of a taste. They wouldn't really be active participants, but obviously if there's something they want to follow up on, they could let us know. We can always invite guests to our committees and things. I hadn't really thought that far ahead. I was hoping you guys would do the actual hard work of how it would work, and I was just saying the big idea. That's the easy part.
Well, I actually think that that kind of segues to a question I had about the nature of the work we're doing, like what it's going to look like. Just because when we first started, we did very defined subcommittee work, and I'm wondering if we're going to return to that, because I feel like we're a little bit adrift right now. I mean, because everybody's adrift in education, but I'm wondering like where we're going, I guess, in the fall as a committee.
Well, so the plan I had was to use the August meeting as kind of a reset, because I agree, we had the MMC recommendations and the third grade reading laws, and then we kind of transitioned right into all the COVID response stuff. So I was thinking we would revisit where we left off. We had talked about social emotional learning and the safety of teachers and students in the classroom. I think we'd add some of those restorative justice things that we just described, but kind of use August just as a reset to kind of plan for our next step. So that was kind of what I was thinking. I'm glad that you're kind of on that same page. So instead of actually getting stuff done in August, we would just use August to plan, organize, and talk about, do we want to do more committee work or more committee of the whole work, just depending on the issue. So does that sound like what you're thinking? How do you do that thumbs up?
It's
Reaction.
Reaction. There's a reaction at the bottom menu. There's a thumbs up. They're limited reactions though. Yeah, there you go.
Well, we're close to the end of the agenda. So if we have kind of wrap up and adjourn committee of the whole, I'll try, and if anyone has specific ways they'd like to kind of flesh out the idea of student representation, if you want to send those to me directly, or just, and then I can kind of, we can talk about those in August, and then hopefully maybe have that person on board in September. That would give Leah, because everything we do creates additional work in Leah's office for a bunch of other people who have full-time jobs that they're also doing. So I want to make, I say, Kelly, we're here for you, Kelly. So let's flesh that out and make sure Leah's involved in that conversation. She's usually pretty direct about availability and resource allocation, whether or not it's feasible. So anything else before we get that final motion for the day?
I wanted Ruth to know I wore the t-shirt too, Ruth.
Love it, Marcus.
And so Eva, are you quitting, or are we still good? Are we okay?
No,
Okay.
I'm not quitting. I'm here for the long haul.
Ava, I don't think I introduced myself at the beginning of the meeting. I'm Kelly Cassidy. I work in Leah's office. So I'm supporting her when she's unable to be here, sometimes supporting second, taking notes or checking data or something along those lines.
Hello, Kelly.
Not exactly sure if this came up in the first June meeting or the follow-up meeting we had a few days later, but I mentioned going on record that the letter was sent from the council to Governor Whitmer via Brandy Johnson, just offering our support. And this happened end of May, thereabouts. A lot has transpired since then. But I thought it was important, since the letter came from our group, that somewhere it be documented rather than just via email exchanges. So could that be written up in today's minutes? That?
Can you tell me exactly what the letter was?
Okay, and it came about.
You said it, I just missed it.
Right, it was a letter positively generally stated from the council, recognizing the work that the governor was doing on behalf of our state, and that we were grateful for continued opportunities for us to support the education of all Michigan students. The group edited it, we toned it down, made sure that it was as apolitical as possible, and individual names were not in the signatures. It was signed the council. And we just maybe we could forward a copy to you, Kelly, or pass. Brandy certainly has it.
Was Leah on those emails?
Or we can make sure that it is in one of the Google Drive folders. I think it was, but we could certainly re-add it to the June, July folder.
When was it sent?
Well, we met on Friday, May 15th, and it took about a week and a half. And I believe sent it out the last week of May. Greg, do you remember?
No, but it definitely went through the governor's office. You just want it reflected in the minutes that we sent it. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is reflected. And if Leah was
All
on
right.
the chain of emails, then she would have the copy of it. So
Yeah. Okay. So do we
Hey,
have?
Greg?
Yeah.
I just wanted to just send just a quick apology to everybody of my email about the fiscal year 2020 that maybe was a little pointed, and it was written, the email that I sent to you guys, it was, I had just read that and I was pretty frustrated. So if anybody took offense to that, I just wanted to apologize. And I wanted to thank you too for the follow-up email that you sent. It meant a lot. Thank you.
Sure. I said wear a damn mask, and I'm not apologizing. So whatever. You can stuff your sorries in a sack. So, are we ready to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Anyone opposed to adjourning? Okay, approved by unanimous consent. Is that good for you, Kelly? Okay, thanks. Good to meet you, Eva.
I'm muted. Yes, we are missing Vermont. We are missing Kathy, or not Kathy, Kara.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Nope, everybody is here.
Okay, then yep, I got it.
Okay, thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Thanks, Greg.
Bye-bye.